Welcome to ILTV's Israel Daily. I'm Medarga Velazian. Coming up in today's newscast. Israelis begin their direct flights to Doha for the 2022 World Cup, but Qatari rules targeting Jews suddenly announced. Meanwhile, outgoing Prime Minister Yair Lapid addresses his final cabinet meeting as Bibi Netanyahu continues negotiations for his own coalition. And later, the pinnacle of charitable investment with practically zero strings attached. The highly anticipated opening of the World Cup Soccer Championship got underway last night in Doha, Qatar. Home team Qatar lost to Ecuador 2-0 as millions of soccer fans from around the world tune in for the start of the most viewed sports tournament of the year. And in a historic first, Israeli soccer fans were on a direct flight to Doha. ILTV's Steve Leibovitz reporting.
Excited Jewish and Arab Israeli fans boarded the first commercial flight between Israel and Qatar, despite the absence of formal bilateral relations between the countries. Israel failed to qualify for the prestigious tournament, but it does have about 10,000 soccer enthusiasts making the trip. Some are hoping that this one-time exception for the World Cup will clear the way for formal relations.
And we're very excited. We're a group of 4 friends, feeling that we're also doing history, making some history, because obviously it's the first flight to Doha. And we're glad to be part of it.
Some of the Israeli travelers are observant Jews, and they heard reports that kosher food and Jewish prayer are not allowed in public. Those boarding the Cypriot TUS Airways at Ben Gurion Airport were originally told that there would be a brief stopover in Cyprus. Instead, they got a direct 3-hour flight to Doha, thanks to a deal arranged by FIFA.
אני מרגיש קודם כל שמח. אני מקווה שזה יהיה הצעד הראשון לעוד דברים יפים. מקווה שיהיה לנו טיסה ראשונה ולא אחרונה לקטר. מקווה שיהיה שלום, אחווה ושלווה בין העמים. ואני מאמין בזה קודם כל. אני מאמין בדו-קיום ובשלום. ואני מאמין שהמונדיאל הזה הוא יהיה ממש יריית פתיחה, שיהיה לנו חיים משותפים עם כל המזרח התיכון.
The first flight included Israeli Jews and Arabs, and flights in the coming days will include Palestinians from Judea and Samaria as well. 6 more flights have been approved so far.
And joining us now from Doha, Qatar, Israeli soccer fan Michael Yankelevitz. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure, Lida.
So, Michael, you are making history, in a sense, visiting Qatar as an Israeli. How are you enjoying your stay there so far?
Yeah, it's a real hype here in Doha. It's a festival, right? There are fans from all over the world, especially from Latin America. One feels the Mexicans, the Argentinians, the Ecuadorians, and it's unbelievable. The vibe, the feeling, the excitement is something that cannot be compared to watching it on TV.
Now, there are a lot of reports that Qatar has banned kosher food and Jewish prayer in public. Have you experienced this at all? Have you seen this taking place at all?
This is not true. It's possible to purchase kosher products thanks to an initiative of Rabbi Mark Schneier from the Hampton Synagogue in Long Island, and he never ever promised that there would be public Jewish prayer. So I don't know from where these reports are coming.
And yet we have heard reports of Israelis, reporters being harassed in Qatar. What can you tell us about that?
Well, I haven't seen this. All I can say is that Khan TV interview with Maluma will backfire, because Maluma is not pro-Palestinian. Maluma is neutral. And the fact that he was put in the corner by Channel 11, I think Israel is going to pay very dearly in the Latin American countries, because Maluma will now be espoused by the Palestinian voices.
And so how is the overall feeling, I mean, the atmosphere there specifically for Israelis? Have you felt as though you need to hide your Jewishness or the fact that you are Israeli, or have you felt completely at ease, in touring around?
Yeah, completely at ease. You have to remember that Qatar is a unique country. It's a country of over 3 million inhabitants, of whom only 15% are Qataris. The rest of the inhabitants are mainly from the Indian subcontinent, and they're Hindus and Buddhists, and they have no animosity at all towards Israel. It's very difficult to find a genuine Arab on the streets of Doha. So I don't think there are any problems.
So you basically, what you're saying is you haven't experienced any problems during your time so far in Qatar. You're enjoying it. Have you been able to tour around a little bit, see some of the sights as well?
Oh, yes. The country is very, very wealthy on one hand, but on the other hand, it is inexpensive. One can go and buy hummus, falafel, and a bottle of Pepsi for equivalent of 11 shekels. You cannot buy such street food anywhere in Israel and feel that you've had a good meal. What is outstanding is a neighborhood called the Pearl. The Pearl is where the rich of the rich live in this city. It's by a yacht marina, and this is even where the head of Hamas lives in Doha, Ismail Haniyeh. So you have extremes from the very wealthy to the poor. But it's a very, very exciting city, a modern city, a city where the Qataris have spent a lot to make this World Cup a memorable occasion. They received the tender for the World Cup 12 years ago. They've built 8 stadiums. Everything works like clockwork. The subway system, the buses. It's an amazing experience, a unique experience. Usually at the World Cup, one has to fly, for example, from New York to Los Angeles to Miami to Chicago. Over here, a fan has the opportunity of seeing a maximum number of games within a 100-kilometer radius.
Incredible. All right, Michael, well, enjoy your stay in Qatar and enjoy attending the World Cup soccer games. Thank you for joining us.
I sure will. Thank you.
And moving on, Israeli National Security Advisor Dr. Ayal Hulata on Sunday addressed the protests in Iran and spoke directly to Iranian women in Farsi while at an international conference in Bahrain.
Personally, as a son of a Persian descent mother, I extend a direct message to the brave people of Iran. Zan, Zendegi, Azadi. In English, it is women, life, freedom. And in Hebrew, Isha, Chaim, Chofish.
Speaking at the Manama Dialogue, an annual international conference of the International Institute for Strategic Studies, Hulata called on the international community to stand up to Iranian aggression.
Enough with futile talks in Vienna as they are advancing their nuclear program. Enough with ignoring Iranian deception and manipulation of the IAEA inspectors. Enough with keeping a blind eye as they smuggle arms on a regular basis to feed regional terror. And enough with hoping, in vain, that a corrupt and dangerous regime will play nice. Even the people of Iran are saying enough. How can the international community look away as the people of Iran are targeted, abused, arrested, and killed for their pursuit of freedom in their own homeland?
Hulata also praised the relations between Israel and its regional neighbors in the Middle East, saying that Israel has made great progress with its Arab neighbors towards regional integration since the signing of the Abraham Accords, adding that with regards to regional integration, the sky's the limit. Indeed, Israel is strengthening its ties with its Arab neighbors. In December, Israeli President Yitzhak Herzog will embark on a Gulf tour and is set to meet with King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa of Bahrain, making him the first Israeli head of state to visit Bahrain. And speaking of regional cooperation, Azerbaijan is set to be the first Shiite Muslim majority country to open an embassy in Israel. The announcement made over the weekend following parliamentary approval will see Azerbaijan open the embassy in Tel Aviv. Outgoing Prime Minister Yair Lapid welcomed the decision, calling Azerbaijan an important partner of Israel and home to one of the largest Jewish communities in the Muslim world. He said the decision to open the embassy reflects the depth of the relationship between the two countries. And so joining us now with more on this historic decision is former Israeli ambassador to Azerbaijan, Arthur Lenk. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, good to be with you.
So what do you make of this historic decision? You know, about time, wouldn't you say?
Well, I certainly agree with that. That's something that I was encouraging 15 years ago. But, you know, Israel and every other country has its own concerns and its own issues and its own timeline. And it's good that it's happening now. Our relations are wider and more diverse than ever. And opening an embassy in Tel Aviv serves Azerbaijan's interests more than anybody else's.
Now, the countries have had diplomatic ties for years. And, you know, Israel has an embassy in the country. You were the former ambassador. What can you tell us about the relations between these two countries?
Well, it's an interesting relationship. We're two small countries in really complex, difficult neighborhoods. And we have key interests and ways to help each other. Certainly in areas of security, there's two-directional cooperation, and things that we do for them that probably nobody else can do, and things that they do for us that probably nobody else can do. We're a huge customer of Azerbaijani oil, and in a time of energy concerns in Europe and around the world, that's not a small deal. And the relationship is widening in a range of areas. I'm very involved in education and in startup investments in Azerbaijan, and there's agriculture and water use, and they have a range of issues that are important to us, not the smallest amount of a Muslim country that really emphasizes coexistence.
And so, you know, if we've had these relations for years, why did it take so long for Azerbaijan to finally open or declare that it's going to open an embassy in Israel? And why did they decide to do so now? I mean, what's changed?
Well, I mean, I can't speak for them. At the same time, I think that Azerbaijan has its own, tough dilemmas to ask itself. One of them, it borders Iran, and any country, we're a couple of thousand miles away, and Azerbaijan is right there, and so it needs to take that into consideration. It also has a conflict with its neighbor Armenia, and it needed to protect support for that. But friends of Azerbaijan have said for years, and me among them, that they should take the jump and take the leap. And I think that the fact that countries like the Emirates and Bahrain and Morocco have done so in the last couple of years and gained from it, I think has shown the Azerbaijanis that it really does serve their interests to be here regularly.
All right, former Israeli ambassador to Azerbaijan, Arthur Lenk, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And now, Prime Minister-elect Benjamin Netanyahu has won his defamation lawsuit against former Prime Minister Ehud Olmert in a Tel Aviv magistrate court's ruling. The high-profile suit kicked off earlier this year and saw the two former prime ministers go head-to-head in court after Olmert made comments in 2021 saying that Netanyahu exhibited crazy behavior and that his wife and his son suffer from mental illness. Tel Aviv Magistrates Court Deputy President Amit Yair rejected Olmert's claims.
הגעתי למסקנה כי לאור ניסוחם של הדברים שנאמרו בגדרי הפרסום הראשון, לא ניתן לראותם כהבעת דעה בתום לב.
Instead, Yair ruling that Olmert's comments constituted defamation of character and fining the former prime minister some 62,500 shekels, or nearly $20,000, plus legal costs. 20,000 shekels for Netanyahu himself, 35,000 for Sarah Netanyahu, and 7,500 for their son Yair. Netanyahu's lawyer Yossi Cohen said after the ruling that yet another libel against the Netanyahus had been shattered. And with politics, the countdown for negotiations underway, Prime Minister-elect Benjamin Netanyahu still trying to cobble together a coalition and his various partners still fighting for top spots in the coming cabinet, preventing a finished list from being presented to the Knesset for approval. ILTV's Aaron Porras with the latest political wrap.
זוהי הישיבה האחרונה של הממשלה ה-36 של מדינת ישראל. זו הייתה ממשלה שידעה לא מעט צרות פוליטיות, אבל יותר מכל, זו ממשלה שעבדה קשה למען מדינת ישראל ולמען אזרחי ישראל.
Israeli Prime Minister Yair Lapid addressing the final cabinet meeting of his government on Sunday, issuing high praises for the accomplishments of his short-lived government, including leading the country through the end of the COVID-19 crisis without lockdowns, passing a state budget for the first time in 3 years, increasing soldiers' salaries, dealing a heavy blow to the Islamic Jihad terror group and other similar organizations, and reforming import and export standards to lower the cost to consumers, as well as some 1,600 other decisions.
לממשלה בישראל יש תפקיד ברור, לשמור על המדינה, לשמור חוק, לשמור על הפרדת הרשויות, לשמור על הביטחון והכלכלה, לשמור על מעמדה של ישראל בעולם, לשמור על הדמוקרטיה הישראלית. עמדנו בכל המשימות האלה בהצלחה ניכרת. חבריי השרים, היה לי לכבוד לשרת איתכם יחד את המדינה הזו ואת אזרחיה. אנחנו עוד נחזור לחדר הזה מהר יותר ממה שאתם חושבים. תודה רבה.
And with that, all eyes laser focusing on just one question. What will the new government look like? The question burning especially brightly given the ongoing stall in negotiations between incoming Prime Minister-elect Netanyahu and his would-be coalition partners, particularly the head of the religious Zionism party, Bezalel Smotrich. Smotrich still vying for the defense portfolio, but this in spite of stiff opposition from the public as well as the rest of his coalition partners. In fact, sources indicating that if it comes down to it, Netanyahu would sooner go back to the elections than hand over the Ministry of Defense. That said, Smotrich's leverage in talks likely waning following the planned division of his pre-election faction into its 3 smaller parts. From 14 seats total in Knesset, the religious Zionism faction now splitting into the religious Zionism party, as well as the Otzma Yehudit party and the tiny Noam party, with 7, 6, and 1 seat in Knesset respectively. Additionally, the Likud's Yoav Gallant likely to become Minister of Defense as the former head of the IDF Southern Command. In light of this, then, Smotrich reportedly now saying that he's willing to become finance minister, which was always his second choice, as long as he also receives additional powers that typically belong to the defense ministry, including overseeing Kogat, the IDF liaison to the Palestinians. Still, this demand opening up another host of issues. For one, it's unclear if Shas's Aryeh Deri would give up his own demands for the finance portfolio, nor is it clear how Likud will react to dividing the defense ministry's powers. And meanwhile, Otzma Yehudit chair Itamar Ben-Gvir halting his own negotiations with the Likud over the reneging of prior commitments to give Otzma the Ministry of Development in the periphery, Negev, and Galilee. So can everything come together through serious compromise, or is it back to elections for the 6th time in 4 years? The deadline looming ever closer every day.
And moving on to U.S. politics, presumed incoming Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, Kevin McCarthy, says he will remove Democratic Congresswoman Ilhan Homal from the House Foreign Affairs Committee for her anti-Israel views. Speaking before the Jewish Republican coalition gathered in Las Vegas, Kevin McCarthy said he plans to punish the Sudanese-born Minnesota Democrat if, as expected, he becomes House Speaker when the new Congress is sworn in January. He also noted a personal slight, one of Omar's most notorious tweets when she said that McCarthy's support for Israel was all about the Benjamins, slang for $100 bills.
We watched anti-Semitism grow, not just on our campuses, but we watched it grow in the halls of Congress. You know, I made another promise to you last time. There was this congresswoman, Ilhan Omar. That's a rightful boo. I remember what she said about me. I remember what she said about Israel. I remember what she said about the relationship. I remember it so much, I promised you last year that as Speaker, she no longer would be on foreign affairs. And I'm keeping that promise.
Omar has called for greater congressional oversight of the U.S.-Israel relationship. She has attacked pro-Israel lobbying groups and has drawn accusations of anti-Semitism for invoking themes claiming Jewish control. Responding to McCarthy's comment, a spokesperson of Oman claimed that McCarthy does not care about anti-Semitism and just wants to silence her views. And despite controversial and anti-Semitic comments, rapper Kanye West has been allowed back on Twitter. And he's not the only one. Elon Musk, who recently took over the social media platform, has also announced that he approved the reinstatement of former U.S. President Donald Trump, who was previously banned from the site. The details in the following report. Rapper Kanye West tweeted one word, shalom, on Monday after his Twitter account was reinstated by the social media giant's new owner, Elon Musk. The rapper's account was suspended last month after he made a series of anti-Semitic posts saying he would like to go DEFCON 3 on Jews and invoking other anti-Semitic tropes. It is unclear if Musk approved his reinstatement, though he did tweet a reply to Kanye saying, "Don't kill what ye hate, save what ye love," in a pun on Kanye's name, who goes by the name Ye. And Kanye West was not the only familiar face reinstated back on Twitter. On Saturday, Elon Musk announced he would allow former U.S. President Donald Trump back on the platform after putting the issue up to a vote. Over 15 million Twitter users cast their vote on whether Trump should return, with 51.8% voting in favor of his reinstatement. After the poll results were announced, Musk tweeted that he would reinstate the account, writing, quote, "The people have spoken," end quote. Yet despite the announcement, Trump speaking at the Republican Jewish Coalition event in Las Vegas, saying he was not interested in returning, opting instead to stick with his new platform, Truth Social. Trump last Tuesday officially launched his campaign to regain the White House in 2024. And moving on, in making the desert bloom, Israel has had to rely on a number of founding principles from the Jewish tradition, and chief among them, investing in entrepreneurship without expectations of a return, or to put it simply, interest-free loans. And now a new organization called SparkIL is letting everyone get in on this charitable mitzvah, or good deed. By providing interest-free loans, a borrower can become actualized and self-reliant, while the lender receives the moral benefits without the pitfalls of profit. Motivated greed. Explained another way, it's teaching a man to fish to feed him for a lifetime, as well as lifting all boats in the economy with the rising tide. With a SparkIL platform, everyone can become a lender and make big differences in small business by investing whatever they feel comfortable with. Further, you choose which business you want to invest in, so it will always reflect your values. And best of all, it also enables anyone and everyone around the world to invest in Israel and support the Zionist dream. Because as the loan is repaid, you can choose to withdraw your initial funding or pay it forward to another worthy cause. So visit SparkIL.org and explore the opportunities. And the prestigious World Team Chess Championship is taking place here in Israel. 12 of the leading men's teams, including Israel, are competing for the world title in the week-long tournament being held in Jerusalem. There is controversy swirling over the inclusion of Team USA chess star Hans Niemann. The world's number 8 ranked player has sued world champion Magnus Carlsen last month for accusing 19-year-old Niemann of cheating. The scandal has rocked the chess world, and this is Niemann's first competition since the accusation emerged. Team USA is favored and ranked first worldwide. Russia and Belarus were banned from the competition due to the invasion of Ukraine, but Kiev has sent a team. Team Israel is led by Maxim Rothstein and Ilana David. In group stage, Israel will play Team USA, Poland, Azerbaijan, India, and Uzbekistan. And the second pool includes the Netherlands, France, South Africa, China, Ukraine, and Spain. And now let's take a look at the weather forecast. Tonight, you can expect partly cloudy skies along in steady temperatures with an average low of about 15 degrees Celsius or 59 Fahrenheit. And then tomorrow, seeing more cloudy skies overhead and the average expected to reach comfortable 25 Celsius or 75 degrees Fahrenheit. And before we go, we want to take the opportunity to congratulate ILTV anchor Lital Shemesh, who won the Ot HaChalutzim Prize, or the Prize of Pioneers, an initiative of the World Sephardi Union and World Zionist Organization, awarding pioneers past, present, and future, working to promote the State of Israel. Lital, congratulations on this well-deserved award. And that's all for today's news. For more updates from Israel on all your devices, check out our ILTV channels on YouTube, Facebook, and Telegram, and subscribe to our ILTV newsletter. I'm Ladar Gavelazi. Be well, and thank you so much for watching.